Okay. Take it easy, baby.
Okay. All right, so let's address the elephant in the room. What's with my weird angle? So here's the deal. My camera died. The camera that I had set up for my podcasting / live streaming thing. I was so excited about it. I had the perfect setup for it. Right on top of the speaker. It was wired in. It was a great looking shot. And it just quit. It just quit. So here we are.
Sorry, folks.
Yeah, you're just going to have to deal with it this week. I'll have it fixed next week. I'll have a new camera by next week. But for now, you're just going to have to deal with it. Oh, man. And if you're listening in audio world, this doesn't affect you at all. So welcome to episode, what are we on, 39?
39? Yes.
Wow.
We're
30, actually 40 weeks because we missed a week.
Yeah, but now we can't be counting. We can't, I have many things in my life where there's kind of like a double date for an anniversary or some sort of special event. And I can't remember those things. Morgan and I got married in our apartment before we had a wedding.
Oh, so you have your wedding date and then your actual anniversary. Is that?
Yes. But
wow.
Not everyone in the family knows both those things.
Oh, well, hopefully they don't listen to the pod.
No, they'll be like, podcast? What is that? Does that happen on computers?
Is that on the YouTubes? Sounds like one of those liberal media things.
Shout out to our Discord members and our Patreon members.
Yeah.
Rhett's audio is because things aren't syncing, but when we post it to YouTube, it's going to be crispy.
It's going to be fine. It's going to be the regular crispy quality that you're used to on YouTube. So maybe just, well, no, don't zone out. You should listen. And you'll get two experiences. You'll get the raw in the moment live experience of me talking through my computer microphone because for whatever reason, StreamYard won't pick up this microphone. And then you get the crispy finished product later next week.
Right.
So
how was your week?
It was actually pretty good. Played golf on Monday. Had rehearsal with Noah Guthrie and Good Trouble Monday and Tuesday. We've got our first show coming up June 25th in Wisconsin. We're playing Country Fest Friday, June 25th. I think it's like a 2:30 slot on the main stage. So pretty decent time.
Wicked.
We put a hell of a set list together though, I will tell you.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. So, yeah. Sorry, I was just adjusting.
No, is that it? Did anything else happen?
Well, and then let's see what else. Continued to get the house set up. Did my first video in the new space here this week, the reverb thing I did. And I got to say, man, this new space is working out really, really well. It's still a little bit live in here. You're getting a little too much room reverb on my vocal with my shotgun mic. So I need a solution for that. But overall, man, the workflow was better. It was faster. It was smoother. Yeah, I'm really, really happy. So there you go. And then I played golf again yesterday with my dad and Tilly.
Boom.
We had a jolly mint.
Does Tilly enjoy golf?
Yesterday was like her first time actually playing. And you know what? She's got a natural swing. Just picked it right up. And immediately she was connecting with the ball. And I mean, we all suck. I'm not good at golf. My dad's not good at golf. Tilly's not good at golf. But it's a lot of fun. So
that's fun.
Yeah. If anybody out there is a golfer,
put your par in the comments below.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's how golf works.
A few years ago, I helped out a buddy. He was trying to shoot a commercial for this business thing he was doing, and it mostly was just going to be me and the fam walking around. It was going to be these kind of just very general an American family sort of thing. But he said, hey, could you go hit some golf balls? And I want to put this in it. And I said, I've never done that. And so he said, you'll do fine. Now, mind you, I don't have much athletic ability. I did karate for a long time, but punching, kicking, and jumping, that's, that I'm fine at that. But when it comes to other things that take some sort of skill or I don't know, being able to swing and hit stuff, I'm not great at. So I thought, oh, I'm going to suck. But I actually was doing okay. And it blew my mind because I've never done it before, except for like mini golf, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean that doesn't. I mean, the thing that I've noticed too, in just talking to friends of mine about like, yeah, I'm getting into golf. I started taking lessons earlier this year, and I grew up playing a little bit. My grandpa's an amazing golfer, and he's a ranger at a golf course. So I've like been on golf courses since I was a little kid, but never really learned how to play. And it's amazing how many musician friends of mine I know that are golfers that love it. Dane Farnsworth, for example, he's a keys player. He's played with everybody. He's in Marcus King's band now. He and I played together a bunch, and he like played in high school and college, like competitively, and Rick plays, and I mean, there's all kinds of people in the industry, in the music industry, and musicians that I've been meeting that are like really into golf. And I think there is some kind of connection because Noah and Ian are huge golfers. Ian is like a damn good golfer. And we took Phil, our bass player, who, sorry, this mic is sounding a little crispy. I'm going to back it off a little bit. Anyways, we took Phil for his first time on Monday, and same thing. Phil never played before, but just had like a nice swing. He was connecting with the ball, and I think there's some sort of connection between someone with musical ability and aptitude and a sport like golf, because playing an instrument and swinging a golf club is all about like finesse and technique and detail and repetition, and I think it exists in the same part of the mind, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
It's just a theory I have.
No, I should say, even though I apparently can swing a golf club and hit a golf ball generally in the direction I'm aiming, I have no interest to ever do it again.
Oh, really?
No, I don't. No.
Oh, dude, it's so much fun.
No, I don't have it. If I'm going to like relax, I want to do something else. I want to do a hobby I already have, you know. But I didn't think I'd do well at it because of my left hand not being able to turn over. I didn't think I'd be able to like hold it and swing. And I mean, I was just surprised. But yeah, just a funny anecdote. Not a hey, Zach's going to get a set of clubs, because that. Never, ever, 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 ever.
Oh man, I'm so into it. I'm gonna, next time I bring my clubs, next time I come to Nashville, I'm bringing my clubs, because there's like 4 people in Nashville that I've been talking to that it's like, oh, let's go play. So
you're just gonna like get into that and ditch the YouTube guitar thing. Yeah, and just become a golfer. You know,
I'm looking for an out, man. That's what it is. I'm trying to get out of YouTube guitar, and I think golf might be it, man. Golf might be my ticket out.
My week was crazy, man. It was Graham's birthday week, so he turned 3.
Happy birthday, Graham.
Yes. And like in-laws were in town, and then we had like all the family over Saturday, and yeah, it was just a lot. And we're still waiting on those keys. Novo and Revolta. We're just like, it's really frustrating because we want, we could have already been paying rent, you know, like they could have been making money.
Yeah.
So
that's their fault. That's on them.
Yeah. And we're not waiting. We were waiting a lot or a while for the contractors, because we thought, we'll try to get the work done and have that done before we move in. But now it's like Novo has another CNC. I think it showed up. Like, we just need to get in there. And I mean, they need it worse than me, because they're literally falling in on themselves.
And it doesn't the CNC take some time to get set up? Because I remember when they got their first CNC, it seemed like it was months. It's like the CNC showed up, but then it was like 8 weeks before it was actually up and operational, because they had to get it all set up and dialed in and get the profiles all put in there.
Right. Well, I mean, it'll probably go faster because of, now all the hard work's done, because I think it's just a duplicate of the machine they have. But still, there's dust evacuation stuff, and they have to build the damn thing. It's not, and I don't think, I don't believe it just shows up completed. I'm sure
it's like a big Acme crate, and you just like knock the sides off and plug it into the wall, and it's like ready to go.
But
if anyone hasn't seen their CNC, I actually made a video on it a while ago. God.
Oh man.
Has that been 2 years ago now? It might've been 2 years ago now, but it's a big machine.
both you and RJ for a while were churning it every other week. There was like a Rhett Novo video and then an RJ Novo video. And I was loving it. I was like, yeah, I got to get one of these guitars.
Oh man.
But not as exciting as my son having a birthday, but almost as exciting. Last night, I got a message from a buddy. He makes fat foot effects, which is
nice,
funny to say. But he said, hey, I think I see one of your pedal boxes on Adam Savage's workbench. And lo and behold, it's like an hour-long video he posted on the 29th. At around 21 minutes in, there is a Mythos box sat on a workbench.
Yeah.
So I sent him something. So I hope he makes a video about it. If he doesn't, just knowing that he saw it, opened it, and hopefully went, ha, is good enough for me.
Hey, that's cool. They just put it aside.
Yeah, it's like never saw it. It goes up in this loft where it's, you know, the land of forgotten things. But
that's awesome. Man. Yeah, you sent me a picture of that. I woke up to that picture this morning. Was like, oh my God.
My friend sent Adam Savage something that he touched and he acknowledged, and now he knows that my friend exists. Holy shit.
It's weird. But hopefully they'll reach back out, because I think I mentioned in a previous podcast when I sent him a positron collider, because of course I did.
Of course.
I sent a letter, but I didn't send any contact information. So I didn't have my phone number, my email. I mean, you can find me, but I felt like an idiot. But, you know, just knowing it might sit on a shelf with other Ghostbuster things, maybe next to a PKE meter, is very exciting. But
that's very, very exciting. I'm excited for you.
So do you want to get right into dipping a rig?
Let's dip a rig.
Okay.
You picked one out for us. Drop it in the old the Discord. By the way, if you want to join us while we're taping, oh boy, I'm gonna like this. If you want to join us while we're taping live, you can follow us on Patreon, join us on Patreon, and you'll get access to the private Discord server where there's a good handful of people in here right now.
Yep.
Chatting with us, and you get to watch us record. You get to watch the sausage being made live.
Yeah.
So
warts
here
and all.
we are, once and all. Now this is beautiful. First of all, before we even get into the rig, let's talk about the composition of this shot right here.
Yes.
This looks like an ad.
Yeah.
It really does. Great use of the natural light. Now, if I'm nitpicking, we're a little overexposed. Okay, just a touch. I would have dropped that. That shutter speed down just a couple clicks. But beautiful. The colors, it's nice and kind of light pastels and muted. The composition is very nice. This looks great.
So this is Graham Case. This is his setup, and what he's got here is a Princeton reverb with a 12-inch speaker. So they did do a special run with the 12. It's got a Cannabis Rex, which is cool because that's going to give you a little bit more low end and kind of shave off a little bit of the high end because it's a hemp cone. The pedals are a TU3. He's got a T-Rex Fat Sugar Boost, a Yellow Cake Fuzzy Burrito, which is our buddy Ryan at Yellow Cake, Strymon Volante, a Boss FRV1, and a Earthquaker Hummingbird. And the guitar is a Jazzmaster. I assume it's a Fender. Yes, it's a Fender in a lovely, either I think it's Sonic Blue or maybe Daphne Blue.
Yeah, I think it's
it's hard to say.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. And then the white coily cable too. Don't sleep on the coily cable.
Yeah. And he said that he chose these pedals and this setup mostly because he likes surf rock. So I think, does it get any more surf rock than a Jazzmaster into a Fender? I don't think so.
Yeah. And speaking of the Patreon chat, shout out to Rob Pierce we got in the chat today. Rob actually works at Fender building amps. And he's saying that we build 1 trillion of these amps. I dig them.
Yeah.
I actually did a video with Princeton's a while ago. Maybe this should be part of our drinking game when Rhett plugs a video that he made months and years ago. But anyway, the hand-wired versus PCB. And the hand-wired one we were talking about in that video, Rob messaged me on Instagram. He's like, yo, I built that amp.
Right.
It's like, oh, sick. Okay, so I want to start with the guitar here. I mean, if you're going to have a Jazzmaster, I feel like the matching headstock rosewood board in that color is probably the move. Yes. At least for me. I think that is such a good look.
Yeah.
My God.
I feel like we've been featuring Jazz Masters a lot. It might just be my subconscious saying I need to get one. But yeah, I mean, it's an iconic aesthetic. The big white pick guard and matching knobs and pickup covers. It's just all of this it's working together, especially with that coily cable and then the leather strap. I'm into it.
Graham, you said it's Graham.
Graham, yeah. So
Graham has got a good sense of. He's got an eye, I think.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what the rest of his house looks like, because if his rig is this well put together, I imagine that house is probably a nice place to be. So the pedal board looks like we got. Is that a Temple Audio pedal board? I've never used one of those, but I've heard good things. It looks like it's like bent metal with the red ends. I can't see the surface of the pedal board, but
I can't tell. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe is he in the chat here?
His name is Hevorius.
Hevorius,
Are you there?
All right. So what do you think about these pedals here?
I dig them. I've never played the Fat Sugar Boost, but T-Rex, I mean, they've historically made great stuff. TU3 tuner, classic. I mean,
classic.
The Yellow Cake Fuzzy Burrito, I think is, if I'm not mistaken, I believe is kind of like a super modded Big Muff.
Nice.
But it can do way more than that. And for those that don't know, like the Big Muff is, it's an overdrive cascading into a fuzz. But the Big Muff just period is a super versatile circuit. Like for a pedal builder, like if you're wanting to get into pedals, there's so much you can do with that circuit because it's essentially just a bunch of cascading gain stages, and you can do things that turn it from, more overdriven to more tone bendery, just little things. In fact, there are some tone benders that are actually Big Muffs.
And a perfect example of that isn't the Fuzz Factory. Didn't it start off as a Big Muff or
it's
fuzz face?
It's a fuzz face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Forget what I said.
But moving on from that, I mean, the Volante.
Come on.
Fantastic. The Boss FRV1, which is the Fender reverb unit. So it's like a 63 tube reverb.
Right. Making up for the fact that the Princeton doesn't have the reverb, but it's going to give you that really drippy spring Fender reverb tank thing, which is cool. And having it in front of the amp like this is essentially acting like a Fender reverb tank, right? Because that's the idea of that pedal.
Yeah.
Is to it acts as like the preamp section of the reverb tank and everything, right?
Yeah. And I mean,
there's Havorius is in the chat now. There you go.
So he said in his email that it's a little redundant having the reverb and the trem. The Earthquaker Hummingbird is like a really choppy. It's based on the Vox repeater circuit. But yeah, you're right. Running it into the front of the amp is totally different. And that's, I mean, if you were going to play surf music back in the day, that's what you would have. You'd have a Fender reverb unit in front of your Blonde Super or whatever, showing. Apparently those Fender reverbs, I think they've become a little bit more sought after. The
reverb tanks. There was a reissue one available here in Atlanta.
No, just the pedal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like when they first came out, it's like people, it was cool and they sold, and then people started getting hip to them because they do sound really good, So.
Yeah. And then the Princeton, I think the 12-inch on the Princeton is the right way to go. Totally. I mean, 10 inches are cool. 10-inch speakers are cool, and they do a certain thing. But to me, if you're gonna actually use this amp, a 10-inch Princeton is a cool character thing. Like when you want that small amp, small speaker kind of sound, it's cool. It does that. But if you're gonna have this amp as maybe your primary amp for playing at home and gigging and stuff like that, I think a 12 is the right move.
Yeah, and one of my biggest complaints about the Princeton reverb is it just has too much bass, especially with a 10.
Right.
And you can remedy that by modding it, but even turning the bass knob all the way down, which I think that's the secret for a lot of blackface reissues, is turn the bass down. You don't need a lot of bass. There's plenty of bass in that circuit and then coming through. But that's always been my biggest problem with them. Every time I've played them, it's just, it farts out.
Right.
But having the 12, it completely fixes it. And I think, I mean, if I was going to go to a shop and get a Fender off the shelf amp, that would be the first one I would look for. If it was, if I needed a little bit more flexibility and control. I mean, normally I go Pro Junior, but that is like that. There's great.
So Havorius is in the chat now, and he's saying that in fact this picture, and this is the first here on Dipped in Tone. And Havorius, I want you to know that from me, you're going to get brownie points for this. This indeed was shot on film on his Hasselblad camera. Now, I would like to know in the chat, Havorius, what Hasselblad, is this an actual medium format camera? Because my God, no, literally, he wasn't, he just joined us in the middle of us dipping his rig, so he didn't hear us at the beginning. But the first thing we said when we opened this up was like, wow, what a picture.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. All right, so here's the deal. This, to me, might be the most well put together rig we've seen thus far. Also, let's not skip over the fact that he's got the amp isolated on the little platform from the floor. That is a pro move right there, my friend. Great for recording. It decouples the amp from the floor. Really, really nice touch. For playing surf music, I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. There's nothing I would change here. For playing that kind of sound and doing this, I'm going to give this, and the fact that it was shot on a Hasselblad Portra 160, this is 10 out of 10 for me.
Oh, man.
This is a perfect score, 10 out of 10 rig for me right here.
Man. So
yeah,
I'm just going to, I'm right there with you, except for the fact that I don't know what a Hasselblad is.
It's a really nice, really cool camera.
So,
it's why we like the picture so much.
I'm gonna really nitpick, and just because apparently I'm a jerk on the internet. I've been getting some comments about that.
Dude, get over yourself, man. My God. Gosh, so pretentious.
My only complaint, Graham, is you got one Coley cable going in, and then that normal straight guy going to the amp.
Oh, that's bullshit.
9.9. 9.99.
No, I'm going to speak against that. That's so, you don't do two coily cables in a rig. You either do one coily cable into the front of your amp if you're really rock and roll, or you do it into the front of your pedal board. But I'm kidding. I would give it the only thing I would like to see would probably be more of an overdrive. Because the fuzzy cake, I don't know how well it can handle that. But for what, even if I was doing something surfy, I would want a little bit more of a straightforward overdrive and not solely relying on a boost or a higher gain thing. So but 9.9. I'm going to give it a 9.9. All right, so we need to establish and I play bass. If you're in the chat, maybe this is a task for you or someone in the comment section later. We need a Dipped in Tone rig dipping Hall of Fame. If we have a rig that one or both of us have rated at 10 Coils, I think it makes the Hall of Fame. And this one does it.
This is a Hall of Fame.
Does it for me.
Yeah.
This is a Hall of Famer.
I'm just being contrarian. But I genuinely do love it, and I think it's wicked. And like, if I showed up at a show and I saw that sitting on stage, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay. And I think that's the ultimate test.
I would too. If I saw that on a stage, I'd be like, this is a player of taste here.
Yeah,
this is someone that knows their thing. And my God. And he'd probably be walking around the gig with his Hasselblad taking pictures and stuff, and I would be very into that.
How much is a Hasselblad?
Oh, they're not cheap.
No.
They're not cheap.
Okay.
No. Speaking of, have you seen Josh Scott's recent dive into film photography?
I see it on his stories and stuff, yeah.
You can thank the one and only Tilly Shull for that. When we were there for the Pedals the Musical, Tilly's been shooting on film, and she loves it. She's really, really good. In fact, one of the things she wants to do in the basement here is make a dark room.
Right.
And for her birthday, I bought her a bunch of we're going to start developing stuff ourselves. But yeah, when we were there for the musical, every time we travel, she takes her 35 millimeter film camera with her, and she pushed Josh into it. And if anyone here knows anything about Josh Scott, obsessive is a bit of an understatement with him. And so when he gets into something, he like jumps in and 10 out of 10 just goes for it, and that's film photography is his thing now.
Right.
So honestly, it's amazing. If you're at all interested in in photography, go get yourself a cheap 35 millimeter film camera and start messing around with it. It's a jolly, man.
Growing up, my father always took photos of us, and there's something special about a film like photo. You know, there's a lot of pictures of us at the Smokies and things like that when we were kids, and they have this different quality to them. It's really special. But talking about going all in on something,
oh boy,
we can get right into it. So last week, yes, I had mentioned about how I do that. You know, if I want to do something, I'm just going to sort high to low, and like, you know, 2 or 3 down. That's usually where I'm aiming for with stuff. But I reeled it back a little bit, and I bought a pickup winder.
Yeah, you did.
And I bought all the stuff to make 6 sets of humbuckers at first, because I thought the humbucker is probably the most, for all the classic pickups, it's the most complicated. It's 2 coils.
Yep.
The bobbin, you start the wire and you have to solder a little wire to that, and then you end the coil, and then there's a little wire hanging, you solder the wire to that. Unlike a Telecaster or a Stratocaster that has a little eyelet, so you can like wrap the wire there, wind the coil, wrap the wire. It's a better design, I think, for the bobbin itself. But I thought if I'm going to do it, I might as well learn how to do the harder thing first and go backwards from there. Maybe that's foolish,
right?
But
well, it's like when you're tackling a big project. Traditionally, you want to, at least what I've always heard, is you start with the most difficult thing first when you're fresh and like in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than saving it for the end.
So I going back to like,
and by the way, we already have people in the chat. I don't know if you're reading this, but we've got people in the chat that are already claiming sets of pickups.
Right.
DMAR says free pickups for all patrons.
Oh,
Chivalry
man.
says one of those sets are mine. So
yeah.
you might as well, I would go ahead and budget for about 24 sets.
Well,
just to start with, because I'm on that list. I will have you know, everyone, I'm first. Okay.
Yeah. You and Joey are
Damn
definitely
right.
high on the list. I mean, I'm first, but
I'm second.
but
I'm second.
Everyone I've spoken to about this is super excited, and they're like, "Oh, you're going to do great." And I'm like, "You do realize I have no idea how to do this."
You know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to be real with you. As your friend and your compatriot here, I don't know that you're going to nail it right out of the gate.
I don't think I will.
No, I don't think you will. I think you're going to send me that first set, and I'm going to be like, okay, they work. Here's what needs to change.
Well, and that's the thing. So going back to the Adam Savage thing, watching Tested is something I've watched for years, and all the people that have been featured on that channel. If you don't subscribe to Tested and you at all like
amazing.
Props or building things or movies or whatever, it's just a fun channel on YouTube.
It's amazing.
But watching that for years and years gave me the confidence, and I think the skill set, or at least the outline of a skill set, to start tackling the Proton Pack. Because when I got to building it, I'd watched videos of them aging props and how to put things together, and you know, some of the tools you need, some of the types of glues, and those sort of things. And knowing that kind of, I think, put me a little bit ahead of the curve whenever I started that project. So with this project, it's been the same thing. I've been watching people wind pickups and learning about it for ages. In fact, my Shield of the Week is going to touch on that. But I do think, my first set's going to be a stinker. So.
Can we just say, though, that that's the beauty of the internet and the beauty of YouTube now, is that you can just get into something and already start with at least a solid base of knowledge before you even do the thing first.
Right. Yeah.
It's amazing.
There is Greg Koch was doing a clinic, and this is more recent. This is like after all the Hal Leonard and Fender stuff. But he was just talking about, with this in your pocket, there's no reason to suck, because you have every lesson, every bit of educational material, mostly for free, and you can just look it up. So I'm very knowledge hungry in that. I really, really like whenever I get excited about something, I want to know as much as I can about it. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing that we can do that. But I also think it's a double-edged sword because it also gives anyone who hasn't done that they think they know, you know. So if I say I want to wind a humbucker, but I'm going to, you know, hand lay the wire, to be like, well, that's not how a PAF was made and all this stuff. Like, yeah, I know, but that doesn't mean you can't do it well. So, what should we talk about with pickups? You know, how should we get this conversation started? Because, or maybe I should say, when it comes to pickups there's not a be all end all pickup that works in everything. Pickups, I think, are guitar specific, but what do you look for in any kind of pickup?
Well, I think it's important to start with what are you looking to not get out of a pickup? I think that's even more important in some ways than what are you looking for in a pickup. And so here's the thing about pickups. If you're new to guitar, or, you know, you've never experimented with this, I would tell everyone out there, if you have an electric guitar, swap your pickups, experiment, keep your originals, right? And go out and, depending on what your budget is, try something new, and you will be amazed at the differences in tone and feel and response that you get from swapping pickups out in your guitar. And it's fun. It's fun. You mix and match, you get different things, and it's awesome. For me, I hate high output pickup. The worst pickups I've ever played. I had a 2001 Gibson Les Paul Custom, wine red, gold hardware, ebony board. It was a beautiful guitar, and it was a great guitar. I wish I still had it, but the pickups that came in that were the 490 and 498T humbuckers from Gibson. Those are ceramic magnet, just balls to the wall output humbuckers that sounded horrible. They were muddy. There was a lot of low mid. They had no clarity. They had no touch response. And it was like you had an always on compressor with those pickups, because every time, no matter what type of amp, it would just hit the front end of the amp way too hard. No matter how soft you were playing, they were awful.
Yeah.
So I swapped those out with a set of Porter Anthem PAFs, and that completely changed the character of that guitar, and it made it great.
Right. And one thing that's crazy to think is that, you know, if you had those 490s or whatever, if you had the gumption, it's really easy to change the magnets, because the part of the reason why it's going to be so strident and hot is having that high output ceramic magnet. But you could take it out, and, you know, effectively, unless the bobbins are completely overwound, it's still just a humbucker, you know. So you could throw an A2 or an A4 or an A5 or anything in there, and it may change the character, but that's getting into a level of obsessiveness that most people don't.
Yeah, I probably am not the type of person to like start swapping magnets. If it was to that point with me where I'm swapping magnets out, I would have swapped the pickups already by that point.
Yeah. Well, with the pickup having a humbucker anyway, and again, this is only really something you can do on a humbucker guitar. You might be able, I don't know if you could do it on a P90.
You might could do it on a P90.
You might could. Yeah, you just take that bobbin off the bass and it'll slide right out.
Yeah, baby, come on. Hey,
you got to check your orientation, make sure your poles are right, north, south.
Man, you don't need to buy new pickups, man. That's a waste of money. That's what they want you to do. You could just swap out them magnets. Hell, I got a couple magnets in the shop in the back. You can try it out. I don't know what they're from, but hell, I might could do that.
Might could. But if your pickups if a humbucker has a cover on it, you can't get the magnet out. So you have to take the cover off. But yeah, I think high output is not great. It kind of paints you into a corner, because sometimes they can work and sometimes they can be really dynamic and responsive, but at the same time, when you're all the way up, which, let's be honest, that's where most of us live, it's too much. It's too much. And the feel of a pickup, and I think this is something that I don't know if many people consider this, but pickups feel different. There's something about, and I think that is all down to how they're wound, because when you look at pickups on paper, you know, everybody makes a PAF style Alnico 2 with 5,000 turns per bobbin, sort of like basic humbucker. Why are they different?
Right.
Because they're wound different.
Yeah. So how do we, where layout? Do we start with like the basics of pickup? I feel like most of our audience here are pretty hip to the basics of pickups. And for the third time today, I will self-shill a video that I've made. I've made a few videos on like, what does the P90 sound? What does the PAF sound? You know, the Filtertron sound. And, you know, in that, in making those videos, I actually learned a lot about, you know, not just the inherent design differences in the pickups, but like what the designers were kind of going for and why a Filtertron sounds so much different than a P90, and why, to me, a great PAF really is pretty close to a good P90 just without the hum, because that's what they were trying to do when they designed the PAF, was just essentially have a hum canceling P90.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to looking for the same kind of things in my pickup sounds. I want balance across the frequency range, right? I don't want a pickup that's too bass heavy or too treble-y or too mid-rangey. I want clarity. I want some brilliance in the top end. And above all else, I like touch sensitivity, even when you're all the way up on 10 on your controller. Being able to just completely change how the guitar sounds with your picking hand is like the most important thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that there's so many different ways to approach like how you want to like choose the pickups for your guitar, because I know a lot of people, and I've tried a lot of humbuckers over the years. Humbuckers are my favorite pickups. I've owned tons. I've had friends who had just collections of boutique pickups, and they would loan them to me, and I would throw them in my guitar to see what I liked and what I didn't like. But I feel like when it comes to the best of the best, there's kind of two camps. There's ones that have a character and they do a thing, right? You know, to take a phrase from you.
They do the thing, man.
They have like a, you know, unique mid-range or an interesting response in the top end. And then there's some that are just kind of as balanced and clean as they can be in a nice way. But I do feel like the pickups I've always gravitated towards have had, there's been like something about them that sets them apart. You know, they're not perfect. They're not, because vintage pickups weren't either. You know, there's usually something funny in the mid range or something happening that makes it sound the way it does. But that's, I think, a thing that a lot of people, they get stuck with like the little EQ curves that Seymour Duncan or DiMarzio or whoever puts on their website about, oh, it has this much treble and this much that. And people may think, oh, that'll add a lot of clarity, or that'll really, you know, mellow out the top end. But oftentimes you really are just finding something that complements, at least in my opinion, the acoustic voice of your guitar. And so sometimes that is not the best way to go. And people were talking about in the chat, they love swapping pickups, but that's a deep rabbit hole that you really just have to go on that journey. And sometimes pickups will never save a guitar.
No.
But sometimes it does.
I mean, well, the thing is though, if the guitar is good, if the bass guitar, let me rephrase that. Not the bass, if the guitar's foundation is good in and of itself, then you're going to find pickups that are going to accentuate different parts of that guitar. They might revoice it, but it's still going to be a good sounding guitar. On the other end, if you have a guitar that's just a dog, it doesn't resonate very well, it's kind of dead sounding, you're not going to go buy a $300 or $400 set of PAFs and throw it in that thing and all of a sudden have like an amazing guitar. It's kind of like, what's a good analogy? It's like a steak, right? Mm-hmm. You can think of the guitar like a nice, you know, a nice ribeye, right? And a good guitar, like my Saris J, it's like a perfectly marbled, just beautiful 20-ounce ribeye, right? The fat marbling's going through, and you can tell no matter what seasoning you put on that piece of steak, and no matter how you cook it, if it's cooked well, it's going to be a great steak. With a cheaper guitar, or a less, not even a cheaper guitar, but a guitar that just doesn't do the thing, so to speak, it's like having just kind of a gristly, lean cut of, just a bad cheap steak, and it kind of doesn't matter how much A1 or whatever you put on that thing. It's just not going to be a great meal. So that's the thing to think about with pickups. If you are getting into this, it's like, if you've got a guitar that's not all that great, but you think putting a couple $100 worth of pickups and electronics in it is going to turn it around, it's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
And it might be a difference for the better, but it's not going to completely fix that guitar's issues.
Totally. Yeah. I've tried that many times, thinking, oh, this guitar's I'll put this in it and maybe it'll bring it to life, and it never does, because the liveliness of a guitar doesn't exist in that way.
Right.
So everyone in the chat, you're making them hungry. First off, they're talking about the importance of pickup height, and that's one thing too that, and this might be kind of getting away from the point at hand, but whenever you are messing with your guitar and considering changing pickups, make sure you play with the heights, because it is a huge determining factor. I don't know where it was. I recently saw a video about someone talking. Oh, it was Mike Adams, Pusheen again, talking about pickup height and how you could hear the magnetic pull, and you hear this sort of like weird thing. There's like people, I don't know, backfiring their cars out in the road.
I can't hear it.
How you can hear like the magnetic pull, and I don't remember which video it was, but it was one of those things I'd always heard it and I'd adjust accordingly, but I never realized that's what it was. So if you have your pickup set really high to your strings, you want to back them down. Backing them down, usually, it's going to lower the output. It can kind of increase the clarity too. So you just have to play with it. There's no like hard and fast rule on setting your pickup height.
Yeah, and so that's what's called proximity effect. And the same thing happens with microphones, and I'll demonstrate here, right? So generally, the closer a pickup or a microphone is to a sound source, the more low end you're going to get, right? So if I get right up on this 87 here, you can hear there's a lot of low end in my voice. There's a lot of low mid. If you're listening in a car with like a sub, for example, depending on how Milton EQs this, you're going to hear a lot more low end. And as I start to back up and I get, maybe a foot away from the mic, now a lot of that low end is gone. And I'm talking like 100 hertz, 200 hertz, things like that are gone. And you're getting a lot more upper mid range and top end clarity, especially with this mic. And so the same thing happens with pickups. If you get way up on the strings, you get the pickup way closer to the strings. First of all, your output, your overall volume is going to go up. Your gain is going to go up. Then you're going to get more low end, low mid range. But you're also going to have, and the string pull thing, I think, is kind of an interesting debate. I don't know that the magnets have that much of an effect on the resonance and sustain on the strings, because the magnets themselves are so weak that I think that if there is any effect, it's negligible.
I believe you can hear it, because I was adjusting the magnets on a new guitar, and I could hear what Mike he had on his video, and it's like a little flutter thing, and it's very minute, but those little things are what make or break a guitar, I think, all those little details.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. It's like the string pull debate, the magnet pull debate. It's just dial it in where you think it sounds good and you're the most comfortable. That's really it.
And it's interesting too. Like, I think pickups totally have an effect on a guitar's vibe, because if you look at something like a Les Paul Special versus a Les Paul Junior, especially old ones, there is something about a Junior, and the only major difference on those guitars is that one's a soap bar and one's a dog ear P90. on paper, most of the time they had very similar output pickups, but Juniors just hit different. The same scale, same body shape, but
I think I know why.
One has a neck and one doesn't. Neck pickup.
Well, it's also the difference between the dog ear and the soap bar, where the dog ear, the pickup, first of all, those P90s were not wax potted, right?
Yeah.
And the dog ear being essentially bolted directly to the top of the guitar, where in fact, Keith at 5 Watt World just did a video on this on Juniors this week, and he talked about that in his video, which I thought was super cool, which was the dog ear. Part of the sound of the Junior is the dog ear P90, and the way that it's mounted to the guitar has a difference on the effect. And when the guitar is not wax potted, it's more microphonic, and it's picking up more of the actual resonances of the guitar, as well as everything that's happening around the guitar. I had problems with microphonic pickups
Right.
when I was playing church gigs. The guys at the front of house in these big mega churches would get pissed off at me because those Porter anthems I had were not wax potted, and they would have the front of house blasting so hot that standing on stage, my pickups were picking up front of house, the vocals, and then sending them through my amp and then back out to front of house.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, I think a big part of the Junior is those dog ear P90s, and the pickup is really resonating with the guitar, and that's doing something to the output.
Well, but a rebuttal.
Fight me, Zach.
A lot of so a lot of vintage P90 loaded Gibsons, Les Paul's, like a standard Les Paul specifically, the depth of the route is oftentimes the height of the pickup. So granted, a dog ear is mounted in a different manner, to the top outside the pickup route. But I had a 54 reissue, and this was a thing. Throwback even makes stuff they make their P90s different whether or not you have a vintage style or a modern style P90 route, because the height on that guitar and on vintage ones, the pickup just, you screw the screw all the way down and it's down. Unless you put compression foam or something underneath it, there's no way to raise it back up. It's just the height. So I do think it matters. Everything matters. But I don't know if it's as crucial, because I still think that the microphonics of that P90 being bolted right to the body will essentially do a very similar thing.
Right. I think it's the difference is like, how is the pickup mounted? Is there foam underneath it acting as a spring to push the pickup back up against the tension of the screw,
right,
or is it mounted directly to the body? Whether it's a dog ear or soap bar, I think that's the difference, because it's like in a car, like race cars, sports cars, they will, instead of having soft rubber bushings in the suspension and the engine mounts and the transmissions, they will hard mount everything.
Right.
Which gives the car more of a snappy response, I guess, if you will. But it also makes the ride way harsher, because all of the vibrations that are coming from the road are going straight into the body of the guitar, God bless America, of the car. It's the same principle.
Right.
If you have that compression foam, if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, when you traditionally mount a soap bar P90, at least in a modern guitar, you have these blocks of foam that go underneath the pickup. They go in between the pickup and the bottom of the pickup route and the guitar, and it essentially acts as a spring, pushing the pickup up against the tension of the screw.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what you would do is, if you didn't have that foam, you would set the screws in there at their height, and then the pickup would just fall to the bottom of the pickup route. So you need something to push it back up.
Yeah.
But like a dog ear P90, where the mounting screws are on the edges of the pickup, it's just bolted directly to the top of the guitar. And my thought is that having the pickup bolted directly to the guitar, which is not wax potted, which we should talk about for a second, meaning it's acting in a more microphonic way, like a microphone. It's picking up more of the vibrations of the wood and influencing the overall tone of the guitar.
Right. Well, but back to what I meant, I don't think the originals had any sort of spring or foam on the specials and stuff.
Right.
But
right.
maybe they did. I don't know. But we're splitting hairs at that point. But yeah.
But this is an online guitar podcast, Zach. This is all about splitting hairs. That's what we're here to do. Okay. The people would be pissed if we didn't start splitting hairs. Okay.
Well, you touched on potting. How do you feel about potting? How do you feel about it?
I like unpotted pickups.
Yeah.
They're noisy, you know, and they're kind of a pain to deal with sometimes, but they sound good.
I don't think they're any more noisy. Well, microphonic. That
they're microphonic.
They squeal. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
But man, I'm trying to find like a route of a P90 guitar. I want to know if they had springs or not. But I have been fooled before by thinking, oh, this pickup's not potted, and it sounded great. Bare knuckle, I had a set of Stormy Mondays, which I swore were not potted. And then I went to adjust the pickup height screw, or the pole screw. And if you want to find out real quick, just turn that into the bobbin, and you'll see wax spit out. They were potted, and they sounded great. But normally, I prefer things to not be potted on a humbucker or a P90, any Gibson style pickup. A Fender, I mean, a lot of those were. I mean, some of those are dipped in lacquer. There's different ways that they would pot a pickup, but essentially all potting is just putting some material on the winds so that there's no air gaps, there's no space, and you're eliminating microphonics or the potential for microphonic things to happen.
D Mars in the chat asked thoughts on noiseless single coils. I feel like people don't like them, and I'm not sure why. I'm not crazy about them. I think there are some noiseless pickups out there that sound good, but I think to me, if you're going to have a single coil, you know, part of the sound is the 60 cycle hum, which drives some people crazy. I don't really care. Now, I have run into situations on gigs, like with my Saris J with those P90s in it, where playing on stages that have really bad power, where you've got a bad ground hum that's accentuated by a P90, a noisy P90, where I physically couldn't play the guitar on that gig because it was like you'd kick on an overdrive pedal and it was louder than anything else in the band. You're just like, you know, there's just nothing you could do. So that is something to consider. But generally, yeah, I just go with normal single coils.
I think we've come very far past the days of lace and, you know, the basic EMG noiseless pickups, because oftentimes I think most people consider them too sterile, and historically I think that's a fair assumption. I think most of the earlier examples of noiseless pickups are pretty boring. Chivalry in the chat mentioned DiMarzio, Paul Gilbert Strat set. DiMarzio makes the Area series for single coils, and I've had some of the Area Strat pickups, and in my Solus I have an Area Tele pickup. I think it's really good, but I will say I think the best noiseless pickups are being made by Fishman. I think the Fishman Fluent stuff, I think a lot of people, maybe not on average, but most people I think relate them to higher gain. And I think that's not fair, because the first set I ever heard was a Strat set. It was great. And then the Greg Koch Gristle tone, or whatever he's calling his single coil. Now he's doing a P90.
Yeah, they're supposed to send me a set of those P90s, and I really want to check them out.
I've not played the P90s. I've played the Tele set. It's so good. They feel right, and I think that's the biggest thing. And the fact that you have a pickup that has a button that can change how they're wound, and it's all, you know, it's not digital. There's nothing digital happen. It's just an analog switch that changes how those function, because unlike classic bobbins that are wound with wire, they're essentially stacked copper circuit boards that produce a field, and it's so smart and cool, and I just really I'm really impressed with them. You know, I know that Rick is a huge fan of the P100s, which are a stacked P90 pickup. I had a set of those, and I didn't like them. But you know what? The thing about all this stuff is it's so personal. It's so personal.
Yeah, that's the thing about Rick's, you know, so that TV Yellow special that he has in his studio,
that's his best sounding guitar in that studio. We've used that on sessions for years. And when I used to intern there, and I would play on stuff, that was always the first guitar we would grab. He had that, and then he had a He still has it. It's the telly he plays in some of his videos. It's like that cream off-white telly. It's like a 97 or 98, just American standard telly that's completely stock, but it's just a great guitar. And that's what he's doing. I think he's announced this already. But yeah, the Beato signature Gibson they're doing, it's that Les Paul special. And there was an interesting thing that happened with that where so the one that he bought, it's like a 2003 or 2004, that TV yellow one.
Yeah,
it was like a special run of Guitar Center.
The faded series.
Yeah, yeah. And the body is thinner on that one than a normal special, than like a vintage special. And so he has a few prototypes that when he first got them, and I played them, and Dave came down, we all played them, we were looking at him, we're like, this isn't right. Like, the neck joint's not right. The guitar's not right. It was a lacquered finish. Like, this isn't the thing. And it wasn't until we went back and compared to his TV yellow, we figured like, oh, this one's way thinner. It's not as thin as an SG, but it's kind of that way. And there's no grain filler in the body. It's just like a color coat, and that's it. So the wood, the neck, everything is just almost like an open mahogany, thin body with those P100s, and that guitar, it literally rings. And so I think he's been playing the prototype. I don't think I'm dropping any like secret knowledge yet. But,
he posted it on Instagram. He posted something about it.
So here's the deal. Like, I don't know what those are going to retail for, but that's going to be a killer P90 guitar to have.
Yeah.
And if you like that blue color and you don't mind it saying Rick Beato on the headstock, those are going to be ringer guitars. And Gibson, I think Gibson should put those back into production. They didn't even have them in their records. Like, they had to go back and like Rick had to send his to them in Nashville and had them like measure it and do a whole bunch of stuff. And they're like, oh, this is weird. I don't know why. Because obviously that was Henry J era and this is the new Gibson. They were trying to figure out like, why did they do it this way? But yeah, it's badass.
They in the early 2000s, they made a bunch of faded stuff. And there was like the Les Paul Standard faded, which are now really sought after. People pay, fairly big money for those because they're good guitars, but they did SG Special faded, and then those double cuts. I knew a few people that had those, that got them, when we were like getting out of high school, and
because they were cheap, like $500 or something like that, $600.
I think they were like $700-800 new.
Yeah.
Because I had a 2001 Les Paul Special, like a single cut, that actually won in a contest. But it was had a full nitro finish. But yeah, the open grain, no filler, that was a big deal for a while. But
yeah, it's cool.
So I kind of want to get back to what I'm hoping to accomplish with the pickup thing, because early on, I think Rob in the chat asked what are my goals with this,
right?
And while I appreciate everyone getting excited about Mythos pickups, essentially, like, possibly.
Right.
This is still like, my hope with this is that once I transition everything into the new shop, I'll have my winder like bolted to my bench in the garage and I'll start trying this.
Right.
I have no idea how long it takes to make a pickup. I have no idea how hard this is going to be for me to, do. It's all still very new, but my goal is to do them in small batches. Once I dial it in, I fully expect to have to make like 10 sets or more before I know, oh, this is right. And even then, once I kind of get, oh, this output and this feels right, but the sound isn't right, that's when you start changing magnets. And there's every permutation. There's rough cast, which, the magnets that go essentially on a humbucker, you have the two bobbins and a magnet sits right in between them and touches the pole pieces and stuff. There's rough casts, which are just like look like they came right out of the sand. There's smooth casts that have been polished. They sound different. So it's going to be quite the journey. But I hope to do my idealized PAF style pickup. That's going to be the first thing. I want to get into P90s. I want to get into Strats and Tellys and maybe weird stuff too eventually. But my idealized my idealized PAF is clarity, but compression on the immediate attack. There's something about real PAFs and the real good copies of PAFs, guys like Throwback, guys like, I think Lindy Fralin does a really good job. I've honestly never played any Lawlers that I thought were genuine. I think he's trying to progress the PAF and not make more of a replica. But when you hit the note, there's like this bloom that happens. And I know all these terms are just words that are hard to equate with something audible, but it's a feel thing too, as much as it is a sound thing. And so I want my pickups to have that character all the while having a noticeable mid-range without being honky, clarity without being bright, and a tight low end, because boomy pickups really bother me.
Right.
And that's what I'm hoping to do. And I have no idea how long this will take. Usually when I try to design a pedal, it takes anywhere from 6 months to a year. I expect this to be the same before I'm even close to releasing anything for sale. Or maybe even close to making sets and giving them to people. Because after all this is said and done, after I do all this research, can I make sets over and over again? You know, once I make one that sounds good, I want to take notes on how I lay the wire, because I didn't get an auto traversal. I just got a Mojo Tone winder. Shout out to Mojo Tone. They make killer stuff. Am I going to be able to lay the wire on the coil the same? I don't know. So I have to do that. And it may take, I found the supplier that supplies Seymour Duncan with their wire, the 42 plane enamel wire. And I bought a big spool of it, because you know what's going to happen? I'm going to mess it up and have to take an X-Acto knife and cut all that copper out. I can't unwind it. Yep. So it's trash. And so I'm going to have to, I think I'm just going to have to sit there and wind coils and pay attention to how they're laid, because if you've never been to Throwback's website, and they also have the website pafhumbucker.com, they do deep dives into all this stuff and show how the different winding machines laid the wire on. It's so crucial on the sound of these things. But that's where I want to start, and then eventually get into P90s, and then maybe Tellies, and lastly Strats.
Yeah, you need to like make videos about this.
I know, man. I know. God,
I'm gonna light a fire under your ass to finally start doing that.
It's not that I don't want to. I do want to.
Oh, I don't have time. I just don't have time.
No, I'm just kidding. But I'm serious.
When you have a kid, I want to be like, hey, you know what? You have any time to do this? No? Weird.
Listen, man. That's why I'm not having kids, okay? I like my time. I like being able to work on stuff. But for real, you should make videos about that. I think it's a good way to start the Mythos YouTube channel, the Mythos YouTube journey, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
And I will.
Oh, shout out to my buddy Grant from Big Ear, because if you don't follow Grant on Instagram and stuff, you should. But he's got some stuff he's working on that's going to be really cool, and it's really exciting. He's looking at doing some cool things on YouTube soon. So
nice.
That's going to involve like everybody and in the pedal world, and I'm really pumped about it. So that's going to be he's starting to light a fire under me too. Like everyone I know, Grant calls me on occasion. He's like, "Hey, are you filming your transition into this new workshop?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Why not? You should." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
I agree with Grant. You absolutely should be.
I need one more helper to just follow me around, be a like Greg Vanderchuck or whatever, and just film me.
Greg Vanderchuck.
Is that his name? I don't fucking know.
No, but
Gary,
I don't care.
Gary, what's his name?
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Okay. Greg G. Vanderchuck.
I'm not sure about that guy.
Is it? I thought it was Gary.
It is Gary.
What did I say? Greg?
Greg.
Oh. Who's Greg Vanderchuck? Let's look him up.
Nobody.
Oh, there's got to be.
Greg. Hi, I'm Greg Vanderchuck. I'm running for county county. Oh, shit. What would Greg Vanderchuck?
He would be like the assessor of property or something. And
yeah. I'm Greg Vanderchuck.
Oh man. Anyway,
I'm running for Fulton County processor.
Yeah, people are saying they can't wait for the Shoyle special PAF. I think the Shoyles has got some other things cooking, but
we're cooking.
We're cooking.
We're cooking on some stuff.
Man, we got the
cooking.
kitchen's hot.
Hot.
Well, do you want to
fire?
I don't know if we.
I don't know if we answer. Yeah, I don't know. I think we just rambled about pickups for an hour, but that's fine. That's the kind of quality content that you subscribe here for at Dipped in Tone.
Yes. You want to? Sorry, I was reading a comment on the Discord. I can't handle these. Like every window.
I'm reading this.
Do you want to do your shill?
Yeah. I've actually got two.
Oh.
And these are actual shills because I got both of these for free. So come at me, internet. All right. So I got a big today, or this week was a good mail week for me. Got a big care package from Jam Pedals. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Jam Pedals. And I've been waiting on this pedal from them since last NAMM. I played it at NAMM. And usually when you play pedals at NAMM, you can't hear what they sound like or know at all. But I played this one and it blew my mind. Mm-hmm. First of all, just look at it. I mean, would you just look at that?
It's got suede on it.
And then on the back, the zipper. Now check this out. This is a vibe right here. Ready? You want to see on the inside? Bam, there's a clear back.
We should put a blur. We should put a black block over that.
So this is the fuzz phrase. This is a really, really great fuzz circuit that they do. And by the way, when they do this, because obviously this is not pedal board friendly, no. They include a metal, like just on a normal pedal back that you could put, your dual lock on or whatever, stick on a pedal board. But I think I'm going to keep this off the board, just use it as like a studio tool.
Right.
Really, really great fuzz circuit here, fuzz face style thing. And it's purple suede, man. Come on.
Don't get it wet. Don't feed it after midnight.
This is worth at least 10 tone points just for the suede.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And it comes in the nice. I'm a sucker for packaging, like we all are, because we're humans.
Man, come on. I want, for the pickups, I want to have a really cool box.
Yeah, you have to. You need the unboxing experience. Now, this is the other thing, and I think I'm going to this might be my next video this week, because I am stupid excited about this pedal. So the deal with this is a bit of a coincidence. I've had this pedal in my reverb cart for weeks, maybe even months. And literally, I told myself, I was like, wait, I'm gonna wait till we get in the house and we, get through all the moving stuff, and then I'm gonna buy it. I've seen a bunch of people make videos on it. Paul David's made a video on it. Andrew Huang's made a video on it. And this is the type of pedal that I'm really excited for. And literally, I had planned on purchasing it on Reverb last week. And out of the blue, I got an email from the company, and they're like, hey, love your channel. Could we send you this pedal? And I was like, oh, yes, you can, because I've been wanting this.
They knew. They saw their, like, what's this pending order on Reverb?
Yeah, it's like, this guy just won't pull the trigger on this thing. Anyway, the Microcosm from Hologram Electronics. Now, this is not your type of pedal at all, Zach.
Hey, you know what's funny? Carter had some of those.
No, this is new. Are you the Microcosm or one of their older ones?
I think it was that one. And I was going to buy you one as a gift, and they sold it out from underneath me. But they didn't sell it out from underneath me. They sold it before I could go get it. And
well, it's a good thing you didn't.
Yeah. Thank goodness I didn't do something nice for you.
So anyway, yeah, they sent this to me, like no strings attached, no video or it's sponsored or anything like that. But this is the type of pedal that I'm really excited about. This is the type of effect that's kind of like all about experimentation, and it's useful for not just guitar. I'm going to put my modular rig through this thing, and Chris, my assistant, who's going to be starting full time with me this week, actually, he's a hell of a keys player. Ooh. So putting some keys stuff through this thing, I'm real excited about it.
That's awesome.
Really excited about it. So yeah, there you go.
Oh no! Oh no! My camera died.
Oh yeah, and you're on such a delay right now that I still see you. Hold on. Sorry, get it back up. We'll edit this out.
Okay, hold on. It's coming. We should just leave it in.
Yeah, just leave it in. It's fine.
And whoa, did you see that?
No, it's lagging. Hold on. I'm waiting for it. Da, da, da. Whoa. You were blue.
I was blue, bro.
Whoa.
Oh man. The downside of having rechargeable things is that if you forget to charge them,
forget to recharge them
or plug them back in.
Works. Just plug your camera into the wall. Why not just
no,
do
it
that?
is.
That's what
so
I do.
I have the USB because going into. Oop, it did something weird. I have the USB like going into like a hub. But anyway, so my shill of the week, and I don't think I've shown this. I don't think I have. Is the Beauty of the Burst. Do you have this book?
No, but I've heard of it. I've not.
Yeah, I think anybody who's a fan at all of the Les Paul has heard of this book, and you've seen people say, "Oh, my custom shop is from page whatever."
Right.
In Beauty of the Burst, and it has really cool stuff. It's from a Japanese collector. I don't want to butcher his name, but it's got cool photos of, here's pearly gates. And this book is notoriously the wrong color for most things. The paperback, everything's orange. Everything's really orangey. And it should be way more like yellow and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I can see that on like the pickguard. The plastics are like a orange.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Yeah.
But this is just a really cool collection of Les Pauls and stuff. But in the back is the anatomy of the burst. And this was one of the first places I really saw someone take a deep dive into how a PAF sounds and why it sounds the way it sounds. And there's these write-ups and photos of the construction and just what's doing what kind of, how the aging of a magnet is, how the bobbins can deform with age. And this was one of the first places I ever really kind of paid attention to those sort of things after I bought this book. And if you like Les Pauls or vintage guitars at all, I think this is still one of the best Les Paul books to get. There's a bunch out there, but there's not a lot of, there's like usually 3 or 4 photos of each guitar, but really neat. And a lot of cool information about all the details of the instrument and famous people that played them. And there's a bunch of famous ones in here. So it's a wicked book, Beauty of the Burst.
There it is. We'll have it linked in the description. Maybe we won't actually. Maybe we'll forget.
Well, yeah.
In which case you can link it in the comments.
Yes. And I think if you want the true experience, you have to get the hardback, which I believe is out of print, but the paperback you can still get. So, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, and one last thing. T-shirts, all that stuff. We still have our Teespring store, and I know people have been getting a few things here and there. I have not heard as many complaints about the quality. I know people were saying that their shirts are falling apart in the wash and some things like that. Our apologies, but moving forward in the next few months, I'm going to start handling that. I think from my new Mythos space, because I'll have room to actually have shirts on a shelf. So if there's a design or an idea that you guys like or want us to maybe do a new iteration of or something new entirely, let us know in the comments or shoot us an email. Love to get your ideas and input on that and future merch things, because now that I'm going to be handling, we can probably do a lot more and more interesting things as well.
I'm totally into that.
Yeah.
Totally into that. And I need to do that for my channel too. I need to get my merch game together.
I'm not going to do it for you. No. I maybe could. My hope is that
I might could do that.
My hope is to only ship on one day a week to take that pressure off. To say we're only shipping merch on Fridays. So if you buy it Monday, wait. But yeah. So I think that's it, right?
Nice. Well, this has been Dipped in Tone. I think we're going to hang out in the post-show hang for a little bit here on Discord. Yeah. Just for a few minutes, and then I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my Sunday. I think I'm going to take today and tomorrow off, and no one's going to stop me.
Memorial Day,
because that's the thing. When you work for yourself, you get to make your own rules and then feel guilty about it.
You just rake all the money in.
You rake it in.
Stop working when you want to stop working.
That's right. And then when you stop, the money stops. So you have to keep going eventually, and you end up working more than most people. But it's All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
Bye.
Wait, where's Graham's sign off this week?
Oh, I can take the sound clip and put it in. We'll put it in.
You gotta drop it in. Yeah.
Here. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Say thanks for listening.